Republican Congressman Andy Biggs of Arizona, member of the Judiciary and Oversight Committees, joins me now. He is also a candidate for Arizona governor. Thank you. Always great to talk to you. I hate the fact that we're talking about this, though. First of all, just start with the culpability of Pritzker and others in charge of leadership in Chicago for teenagers literally setting the place on fire.
Well, they have certainly moral culpability. They're going to claim they have legal protections, but they have moral culpability. They are the leaders that are allowing a rampage of crime to go in their city and in their state. And they refuse to allow help to come in. And Julie, you can't really be free if you don't have the rule of law, and that's what's happened. That's what's broken down in Chicago right now, and their leaders refuse to do much of anything about it other than give lip service and try to basically paper over this thing. And it's very dangerous in Chicago right now, and as President Trump said, it is out of control, and Chicago was once a great city, and it would be great if it was great again.
Yeah, there's a new opinion piece titled "Chicago Leaders Have Let Teenage Criminals Take Over the City." An excerpt here from the Washington Examiner. Teenagers are old enough to know that riots, shootings, and carjackings are wrong. If you refuse to hold them accountable for it, you embolden them to become more criminal, to the point where you need to consider ridiculous alternatives such as curfews. When you don't even want to take that step, you are giving teenage criminals a green light to do what they want. Consequences be damned. That is what Brandon Johnson has brought to Chicago. Brandon Johnson has said curfews don't work. What in the world is he talking about? Because during the pandemic, as you recall, there were curfews and they worked because it's a deterrent, and children need to be taught and teenagers need to be taught that there are consequences, hence the deterrent. Why don't they put in place a curfew?
The only reason I can figure is that they don't really have an understanding. This is the leftist mantra. They don't understand that the rule of law works. Deterrent works. If you are held accountable for your actions, all of a sudden people begin to think, well, maybe I shouldn't do that. And when you don't have any accountability, this is what you see. You see the riot. You have a Christmas tree lighting, for Pete's sakes, that turns into a riot. And you have people riding the mass transit system like this, Ms. McGee there, she gets burnt up by a guy who shouldn't be even on the streets. That is a failure to actually hold people accountable. And accountability is necessary when you have freedom.
Right. And he has said it is up to the parents to school their children and teach them. But obviously the parents are failing. And so somebody's got to step in. Otherwise, innocent civilians are hurt or possibly killed. And the teenagers are basically running amok in the city of Chicago with absolutely no intervention whatsoever. I want to move on to something else here. The FBI has requested interviews with the 6 Democratic lawmakers who appeared in a controversial video as seen here. It featured each of those Democrats urging members of the military and intelligence communities to reject so-called illegal orders from President Trump. Several of the Democrats, by the way, in that video responded in a joint statement saying this: no amount of intimidation or harassment will ever stop us from doing our jobs and honoring our Constitution. We will not be bullied. We will never give up the ship. Give up the ship is the video we're talking about here. The FBI request comes just a day after the Pentagon launched its own probe into Senator Mark Kelly specifically. Kelly is possibly going to be punished for his role in that video, which could include being recalled to active duty to face court-martial proceedings. The Pentagon, meantime, has asked the Navy Secretary for a briefing on Kelly's conduct by December 10th. They're saying that this is extreme by an extreme administration. I say you're interfering in military orders and calling the orders illegal. Who are they to say it's illegal? If the president makes an order, it's legal, and they need to abide by it. And if they don't, they should be punished. What say you?
Yeah, I mean, clear violation of the statute, 13 U.S.C. 2387. You cannot interfere with basically with the chain of command. You can't try to impute morale and bring it down. You can't interfere. They interfered. And by the way, Julie, when asked what orders are illegal, none of them can say anything. And I got a kick out of Elise Slotkin saying, well, they're engaged in legal gymnastics by bombing these drug runners. Well, when you say legal gymnastics, you're trying to say that they're not following the law, but legal gymnastics means they've gone through every hoop to make it a lawful order. These people need to be held accountable. What they've done is, in my opinion, it's a soft coup, and it's trying to basically delegitimize President Trump. And that is, if they're not held accountable, this will just keep ratcheting up, is my expectation.
Yeah, accountability. It's kind of a theme here, right? Senator Kelly, by the way, is already using this serious issue for fundraising. His reelection campaign sending mass texts reading like this: let's call this what it is, political persecution. The point is that I need you to chip in $10 or whatever you can afford, so we have the resources necessary to fight back against what comes next. Critics are popping off online. One writes any service member who followed that call would face ruin, but he thinks it is a moment to pass the hat. I should mention that Senator Mark Kelly is the highest-ranking veteran featured in that viral "Don't Give Up the Ship" video. He served in the Navy as a captain before running for office, so he has credibility. And for him to tell the military not to abide by their president, that is absolutely awful.
Yeah, and Julie, isn't it rich that they started this thing trying to encourage people to not follow the chain of command, and now that they are being held accountable, or perhaps being held accountable, they're out there trying to raise money off it. They're out there saying, woe is me, it's persecution. And you know where the political persecution is? Mm-hmm. That this all happened because they hate Donald Trump, and
right.
and that's why they're trying to undermine him. Yeah, I think it's rich and ironic, and I hope that the accountability holds sway here.
Quite frankly, I don't see how this is any different than somebody who actually hampers an investigation, a criminal investigation, or aiding and abetting. You're hampering an investigation. You're hampering the military from doing its job. That should be a crime. Andy Biggs, great to see you as always. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Julie.
Hey everyone, I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kaylee McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.